Hello and welcome to episode 6, Perseverance. Now, in the last episode, we talked about alignment. We talked about what happens when you begin living in line with what you stand for. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Today, though, I want to go a little bit deeper into one principle that I strongly believe sits at the center of long-term progress: perseverance. Because we're all works in progress. And progress doesn't happen instantly. It doesn't happen quickly. It takes time. It happens consistently. And that means you got to keep showing up. Here's something I call the myth of success. Often, people look at high performers, awesome sports people, elite athletes, and they assume they started out exceptional. But in most cases, they didn't. Let's take Olympic athletes as an example. The ones who make it to that level aren't always the most naturally gifted at the beginning. Often, they're simply the ones who stayed longer. They trained harder. They wanted it more, and for more years, they kept listening to the results, making course corrections, making adjustments, and getting better. But most importantly, they kept showing up when others stopped. You see, talent will usually get attention early. Perseverance wins every time in the long term. Now, it's pretty obvious that I'm no Olympic athlete, but as I might have alluded to before, perseverance has pretty much shaped my entire life. Here's an example for you. Early in my career, I started out delivering boxes, point to point, same number of hours a day as everyone else. Same equipment, same opportunities, 2 hands, 2 legs. But I chose to approach it differently. You see, I worked out that if I ran my deliveries, I could get X number more done per day. So I ran my deliveries from the curbside to the customer every single time, all day. It wasn't glamorous. And it was certainly hard work. Got me fit though. Got me fit, boy, did it get me fit. But it also did 2 important things. It made me a little more money. And secondly, and more importantly, it got me noticed. People notice effort. People notice consistent effort. Managers notice consistency and results. You see, opportunity has a tendency to find the person who keeps pushing when the others slow down, because you stand out from the pack. Later, I moved into sales. And that, believe me, that is where my perseverance really got tested. In some of my early roles, I was knocking on doors. Most people were not interested. 95 out of 100 doors would close in my face. Remember I said have to know your numbers? Well, this is one of those numbers that was really useful for me to know. 95 out of 100 doors would close in my face. Sometimes they would be polite. Sometimes they would not be polite. Dogs chased me. Sometimes people chased me too. That was the reality. 95 times out of 100 doors, the answer would be no. Now, most people would give up after that kind of rejection. And believe me, I saw a lot do it. But I looked at it a little bit differently. You see, if 95 doors say no, then 5 doors would say yes. It was just numbers, so I would keep going. Another knock, another conversation, another attempt. A little bit of learning along the way as to which lines work better, which introductions, first impressions, dress styles, demeanour, even my choice of language. But we'll get into that in another episode because there's quite a bit to unpack there. Let's get back to persistence. Those 100 days would take all day, and I would come back to the office exhausted. Often the other reps had already gone home. Some days they went home empty-handed. But I would not stop until I had something to show for the day. 1 sale, sometimes 2. Not because I was more talented, but because I worked harder, stayed longer, wanted it more, and kept going. Now at that time, my family were very young. My babies were very small. And we lived on one income, mine. Coming home empty-handed wasn't just disappointing. It meant my family missed out. And that was something I simply could not accept. Perseverance wasn't optional. It was non-negotiable. You see, perseverance isn't stubbornness. Oh yes, I grant you, there's an element of strength of character that absolutely has to come into play. It's hard keeping going when 95 out of 100 doors say no. But perseverance is a commitment to a direction. I needed to feed my family, and I was going to keep going until whatever I did achieved that. Reasonably speaking, aligning with my ethics, aligning with my other values. You see, perseverance is continuing when your motivation drops, when progress feels slow, and your results, they often don't show up immediately. Of the 5 doors out of 100 that would have a conversation with me, not all of them would sign up on the spot. In fact, very few would. But over the weeks, I started getting callbacks, and over the months, those callbacks became more and more. Now, here's the really important part. When results aren't showing up immediately, perseverance doesn't feel inspiring when you're doing it. Most of the time, it just feels ordinary. It's hard work. It's quiet. But repeated effort connects to alignment. If perseverance is one of your goals, and believe me, is one of your values, and believe me, if you want to be a success, you've got to pick that thing that you enjoy, that you feel aligns with your life's direction. Pick that thing that aligns with your talent. Pick that thing that you enjoy doing, that others find value in, and stick with it. Persevere. Get better at it. And better yet, when the thing that you're persevering at aligns with what you stand for, something changes. Work becomes purposeful. It's not work at all. Effort becomes meaningful. You enjoy doing what you're doing because you can see the end game. You stop asking, is this worth it? And you start saying, this is who I am. And that mindset will carry you through those periods where, those difficult times where nobody's saying yes, because remember, it's just a numbers game. Stick with me, stick with it, and persevere. You will see the rewards. Now remember too, as I said before, perseverance builds things. It improves things. You gradually adjust and you get better at what you're doing, but you don't notice it immediately. Perseverance builds resilience. It builds skill. It builds confidence. And the fact that you keep going and you're seen to be working hard and bringing in the result, it builds reputation. People begin to see you as dependable, reliable, as someone who follows through. And over time, opportunities start arriving differently. Not because luck changed, because you made the change, because you did. So here's something to think about. I want you to reflect on this. Ask yourself this. Is there something in your life that you stop too early? Where you think, you assume it isn't working? When maybe you just haven't stayed the course long enough yet. Now, progress rarely looks impressive day to day. But over years, progress becomes impossible to ignore. Now, in the next episode, we're going to look at something that helped me keep going through those early years. Knowing your numbers. Remember, knowing your numbers is so important. Understanding the simple maths behind progress. Remember those 95 doors? If I've knocked on 89 doors, I've only got 6 more doors to go till someone says yes. Just an example. And how tracking those numbers can keep you motivated even when results feel slow. I'm at door 94, I've had no yes. Door 95 it is. And the yes is there. And you feel great. Now remember, we're all works in progress. And the people who move forward aren't always the fastest or the most talented. they're often only the ones who simply refuse to stop. Perseverance is the quiet advantage, that tool you can have at your command that will carry you. Perseverance. Knowing your numbers, on the other hand, now that helps motivation, because perseverance without success or measurement is like running in the dark. This is the long way forward. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. I hope you've gained real value from it. So stick with me, persevere, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Do subscribe if you find value in what I'm doing. Thank you for listening.